Hi, it's me again with Corel Draw Tips and Tricks, and somebody emailed me this photograph and wanted to know how to make it into a keychain, so I made it, and this would, of course, this is like brass cast, but if you're going to laser out of wood, I did it pretty much on the first try, and it came out really good. Uh, there are a few things that you want to consider when you're doing this as to, well, we'll go over that in the video. But the O's, and I didn't pick the exact font, but the O's are touching and they're touching the 2's. So I just typed out the word 2000 or the letter 2000. I'm going to grab the shape tool and I'm going to use a skew, and I'm going to skew them just so they touch. It doesn't really matter that big a deal because of the fact that they're not really that important. But I'm going to left click, right click, and whenever you do that and then you select it all, you can see your weld tool doesn't come up. So you have to break it apart. And then you have to convert it to a curve. And then when you do that, sometimes when you use the weld, sometimes you'll lose the inner parts of the O's or the zeros. So if that ever happens, you can just nudge them out of the way and put them back. So we're already kind of halfway there, and I just used my imagination on what it should look like. So I'm going to take a rectangle and I'm going to go from there to there, and I'm going to nudge that out of the way because I don't need that particular one right now. I'm going to Control D and make a duplicate, and I'm going to make the second one a little bit less thick, and I'm going to nudge it back up, and then I'm going to kind of just put it in the center of that O or the zero. I'm going to go ahead and nudge it this way and nudge it this way. Then I'm going to take my virtual segment delete key and I'm going to delete these lines. And what that is doing is going to be allow the graphic to bleed into that, and all this is black. So, and then you can take your virtual segment delete key and just draw a line. Then you just type in your text. And I'm not going to try to copy what they had. Not sure what it really means. And then take it and kind of size it to the size of your insert. That's pretty good. Let's make it bold. And we're actually going to do a deal called reverse engraving. And then you'd want to take your time to get it in the center. And then you would left click, right click, and you have an outline. Then you take, let's zoom in here a little bit, take the Smart Fill tool and fill that in and fill out, and then cursor or nudge it out of the way. And we're going to take all our interior parts. And then, pretty importantly, would be to get rid of this because you don't want that to cut out. Now we're going to grab all this and nudge it back. So that's called reverse engraving, and that looks pretty much like the picture. That's what's happening. The wood is going to stay not touched, and the inside is going to be engraved down. Now we just need to do the same kind of deal for the 2. And I don't need a rectangle that big, so I'm going to squish this down a little bit. And I'm going to put it into the 2, kind of appropriate spot as the other one. Just as long as I've got this covered and that covered, I'm going to go to about here. But I need to encompass all that black. So I'm going to use the Smart Fill tool. I'm going to hit that. I'm going to nudge it down, hit that, and nudge it down. And now I can take that rectangle away and nudge these 2 back, and they'll be right in the position. We're almost done. Then what I would do is create a boundary. Well, that didn't really work. Let's nudge this over, and now let's create a boundary. We're going to have to go to range and break curve apart and create a boundary, and then let's nudge that over. That kind of welds it all together and it gets rid of your interior cuts. Now let's nudge it back, and we need to add an eyelet for the keychain. There are several ways to do that. I use a circle on this one. I'm going to use a rectangle, give a little bit of different feel. Now, if you look, and you'd want it in the center. But on your radius cornering, if you'll unlock this, and if you do just these two, and let's do 0.25 of an inch, 0.25 of an inch, give it a little bit different shape. Then grab our virtual segment delete key and just draw a line between those two. Now I would always, try to figure out what size hole you need. And you got to think about strength. So you want quite a bit of wood. That's almost a 1/4 of an inch hole. So that'd be pretty good. That'd be over a 1/4 of an inch of wood. Now this is pretty important, is to take your Smart Fill tool and fill that in. And then let's nudge it down and left click, right click. What that did, it welded it all together. Now we can nudge it over and back to the keychain. And that should all engrave out, and this should all cut. But like I said earlier, make sure that there's no hairlines in there, and you can see there is. So we need to take that box away. And I did a bad thing here. I did not nudge it out of the way. I moved it, and you wouldn't be able to move it back. So if you grab on it, then you can nudge it right back. And really and truly, I nudged the 2000 down. So you want to nudge and don't just move stuff, because when you nudge, you can put it right back. So that's pretty close to the picture. A little bit different graphic. I think the gentleman's from Canada. And you can see as I grabbed that, I left my part here because that was before I Smart Filled it. Anyway, I hope that helped a little bit. Thank you for watching.